Hello, everybody. You have McGann the Fangirl and the Bagel Ghost.
Hi.
And we are going to talk about Season 2, Episode 4 of The Last of Us called Day 1. And I looked it up. This is actually our over the halfway point of the season. So I'm kind of
What?
confused. Apparently, it's going to be a 7-episode season. I don't know if they're going to do like The Walking Dead, where it's like you get half the season now and half the season at a different part of the year. But I'm kind of freaking annoyed because we haven't been back with Abby for 2 episodes. We're supposed to keep switching back and forth on these perspectives, and I don't think Ellie's going to have time to really do anything with the pacing of what we've got right now.
It feels very slow. Like, there's not a lot of groundbreaking things happening here unless you count the hordes.
No, it felt like most of the last 2 episodes have really, really dragged. And it felt like the first episode of this season really dragged. And I'm kind of worried that they're not going to follow the game and that they're not going to switch the stories back and forth. Abby's just going to be seen as a terrible monster. But even if Ellie starts picking off Abby's friends one at a time, she had, 5 people with her? Like, there's not enough with how many episodes we have left.
It feels like this is supposed to build up to something grand at the end.
Well, even the trailer for next week's episode, episode 5, does not show us anything with Abby in it. Not even her friends. And I don't know where this is going, but it's going too flippin' slow right now.
What these past 2 episodes feel like they've been has been giving you little seeds for ideas that we're gonna build on, but then they don't.
Yeah, it really feels like they are spending way too much time building up Dina and Ellie's relationship, which was not this monumental in the game. Oh, and by the way, I should mention, we got a comment a few days ago on the last episode from In Marins 328, and she said Dina did go with Ellie in the first game the first time. The second time after she has the baby, she doesn't want to go. And I have apparently totally blacked out Dina's involvement with tracking down Joel's killers, but okay, I stand corrected.
Still, I mean, I feel like a baby complicates things, as you would know.
It does make it harder to do anything. Anyways, okay, to get into this episode a little bit more specifically, we start out being told we're in 2018 in the Seattle quarantine zone, and we have all of these Fedra soldiers in the back of like a SWAT truck, this big armored vehicle, and one of them's telling this story about how they demolished some, quote, voters, and voters is what they called the citizens because they took away their rights to vote and then mocked them by calling them the voters, the public, ha ha ha. And they're really awful stories of abuse. And this guy, who seems to be ranking above them, don't know how far up because I did not notice his insignia if he had any, but he's like, yeah, hey, that's not funny, you're thoughtless. And they see these people creeping up on them. They're like, oh, those are wolves. And the upper ranking guy, his tag says I Dixon, he leaves the truck, has it stopped. He says, no, I don't want all of you coming out with me because then we're just going to end up shooting at each other. Let's see if I can de-escalate this. And at the last second, he looks at this one soldier who's pretty young and goes, come on out with me, learn something.
He is significantly older than everyone else in that van, which I think is supposed to show us that he's in charge. That or it's really just the honor system and he went rogue.
Well, yeah, because the guy who will later be identified as Isaac comes out with the younger guy. He's like, hey, are you so-and-so? And she's like, yeah, are you so-and-so? Yeah, cool. Isaac turns around, gets right up to the door of his armored vehicle, throws 2 live grenades in there and seals the door and just blows everybody up.
Which feels weird. Not gonna lie, if you have an army, it's kind of a bad idea to shoot some of your young, able-bodied soldiers.
But that's the thing. I think this is Isaac joining Wolf because he looks at the kid that he brought out with him who's got his gun up looking so confused, like, I don't know who to shoot. And Isaac's like, make your choice. And we don't know what his choice is because we just cut out. And then it's 11 years later and we have Dina crawling into a pharmacy, and we'll find out much later in the episode, but she gets a bunch of pregnancy tests that she pees on.
Like a lot of them.
On the pharmacy floor. Like, they didn't show her take them to the bathroom or anything.
She just claims it like a wild animal.
But once Dina walks outside, we find out this is what we're going to call day one in Seattle. Which, okay, this is also making me a little crazy because the only reason to track the timing like this is so that we can keep track mentally when we shift to Abby. But we're not shifting back and forth to Abby anymore, and I'm so confused. This should either be half episodes Ellie, half Abby, or one back and forth.
I think they might just do the one back and forth. That feels like the only logical way to do this.
But they're not. And again, we have 3 episodes left to the end. We've done 2 straight without Abby in them. The next episode doesn't appear to have Abby in it. I'll be surprised if she doesn't resurface somewhere, but they're treating her like a kingpin boss fight that we're not going to see at the end until we're like Scott Pilgrim defeating the other 6 evil exes. Although it is kind of cute, they're walking around on Shimmer and looking at all these rainbow flags all over the downtown area of Seattle. And they're just like, wonder what this is all about. You've got 2 lesbians here that don't know what the rainbow means.
They were born way after the Pride thing was commonly known.
You would still think some part of it would have stayed in the cultural zeitgeist. You know, people in the apocalypse still need things to celebrate and be happy about. So I'm surprised that it's something that they're so unfamiliar with.
Well, knowing Seth.
Seth joined the council just to make sure the rainbow flags couldn't go up in Wyoming. But they're just so cute. They're just like, everybody here must have been really optimistic. And then in a weird juxtaposition, they wander into this street that have a ton of skeletons in Fedra uniforms as if they were fighting each other. And I think this is some kind of throwback towards Isaac and what he did with the hand grenades in the back of the armored truck, because I imagine he would not be the only Fedra person fed up with how Fedra was treating people in Seattle. So I can kind of see a regime change happening from within like that, and everybody would be dressed in the same uniforms and you wouldn't know what's happening and what's dangerous and who to trust. But Ellie accidentally opens a tank lid and there's people burned alive in there. There's skeletons all over Seattle. They do not take pride in cleaning up this city at any point in the last 20 years.
The safest thing to do is to make your stuff look abandoned so that no one's gonna come trying to raid it.
But at the point that these people are complete skeletons, I think it's okay. And they look through the binoculars and see the, what is it, radio tower, TV station, something?
Yeah, it was something with a satellite dish.
Yeah, and they see that WLF is spray painted really large on it. And Ellie's like, let's go, sis. And Dina's like, hold up. Think about this. These people painted their initials of their militarized organization so large that you can see it from miles away, which means they are telling people this is their territory, don't come into it. Do we really want to walk into that blind in the middle of the day on horseback? And Ellie's like, oh, fine, I guess not. Where can we put Shimmer so that she can be hidden?
Shimmer has the cutest name for this situation. Like, this is my horse, Glitter Sparkle Farts. She helped me pull my dad out of the trenches.
Well, they end up stashing Shimmer in the Valiant Music Shop, which was mostly a record store with instruments.
I do also want to say, before we get too far away, the glass doors they had were so, like,
oh my gosh,
beautifully...
they were.
I know!
They were like, they had double doors, glass for half of them. They had music etched onto it.
Yeah, like a decal.
Yeah, it was very pretty. I'm surprised it hasn't been busted out over the years. Even the big war on that street decided, now, let's all agree not to attack Valiants. But they load Shimmer up with a bunch of grass, and Ellie wanders upstairs. She finds one guitar that's not all molded up, and it's in a case with desiccant packets. And so she starts playing an 80s song, and I think it's called Take on Me, something like that. But that's actually the chorus of it.
It feels like how Ellie was singing it should have been like a few bars lower, considering her voice.
Yeah, it was a really cute, pretty feminine voice that she has when she sings. But what's really off-putting to me is that this scene felt like it went on for way too long, and Ellie starts playing the guitar and it lures Dina upstairs, and Ellie stops and Dina's like, no, keep going. And you know, Ellie keeps singing the song and playing on the guitar, and Dina's looking at her like she's gonna cry, which makes sense because when you're pregnant you always want to cry, so totally feel you there, hun. But it drug out forever. It felt like this was going on 3 minutes longer than it needed to.
I also think it's really weird that she stopped like she didn't want this attention. Like, there's there's a big gap in the floor, there's no way she wasn't gonna hear you play and sing.
I was more concerned that, okay, they think nobody else is around, but they don't know that for certain. You know, the big thudding of the tank lid could have drawn something that's just taking a while to get there, whether that be the infected or other soldiers. And to play the guitar in that moment, when you're sitting in front of a giant gaping hole in the wall, just seems so reckless.
Her back was to it, like she's begging for a JFK assassination.
Yeah, it was a beautiful shot. It was a lovely little song. It went on way too long for a dramatic TV show. And it wasn't even like, okay, now we're going to bring in some serious drama. It took forever for the drama part to even start in this. The other thing I wanted to point out, Ellie is playing an 80s song. And when we go back to the first episode of the first season, Joel had a code with Bill and Frank that had something to do with the music. And it was like, if it's 60s music, we have nothing new. If it's 70s, we have something new. If it's 80s, trouble is afoot.
I thought it was 70s, 80s, 90s.
No.
No? Okay. I'll trust you. You write things down.
Exactly. That's why I do it and why I checked it. So I think that's a cool little way to foreshadow that trouble is coming, or that Ellie and Dina are in trouble. So then we cut over to Isaac, who has had, what they say, 11 years with the wolves now. He apparently is their main interrogator because he's got a Seraphite all chained up on the floor of this kitchen. And I had forgotten this, but the wolves call the Seraphites scars because they have those cheek cuts.
I did not notice that Isaac was this guy torturing. I don't know if I just didn't register it.
I mean,
but
honey,
I
he's
didn't
the only
think-
black guy in the episode.
I didn't register him in the flashback as black. I thought he was just tan.
Oh my gosh.
I have such a problem with color. Like, I can't figure it out.
I mean, to be fair, the show has like 20 different Asian minor characters, so I could see where you would get some of them confused, but I'm pretty sure this is the first African American we've seen in this show since Sam and
Henry?
Henry, yes.
No, there was the other one. There was that leader woman.
Oh, yeah. Maria slipped right out of my head. Okay, but
Woman leader woman.
But okay, let me asterisk. This is the first African-American man, I think, that we've seen as an established character since Sam and Henry. Well, while Isaac is doing this interrogation, he goes into this whole weird spiel about the pots, and the pots being French and copper, and all these great touches about how it conducts heat really quickly. And
I thought he was about to eat this guy.
in this world, I would not be surprised, but what I was shocked about is when we cut over to the Seraphite chained to the wall, he's,
Fully
in his
exposed.
Yeah, he's in his birthday suit.
Not even crossing his legs.
The lady that directed this episode was like, no, it's the men's turn. We are going to show everything, and it's jiggling, and it's, ugh.
It's very...
There's a reason we don't show these often.
It's discolored and everything. Like, this guy...
38% of this audience just switched to being girls only.
This man is skinny and beaten and shaven.
Oh, he is so grimy. It is...
Like Holocaust victims.
Well, in the Holocaust, they had experiments that they did on people. I think here, Isaac is just torturing the guy because he burns his hand with the copper pot, and we see there's two guards outside the kitchen, and one's like, oh my gosh, and the other's like, good, the scar deserves it.
He's even like, hold out your hand, hold out your hand, hold out your hand, before he
And the guy
burns
does
him.
it, and he's, the Seraphite guy is like, hey, people leave you wolves every day to join us. Nobody leaves us to join you. Which, again, might not be a strong argument, especially if you're this cult-like, that you're cutting your faces and stuff. But
And also when you're chained up, naked, shaven, with a guy with pots.
I don't understand why the Seraphites don't just leave Seattle. And there's so many uninhibited places in the United States at this point. Just go set up in a place that's not a big city, where there's not a Fedra, where there's not a wolf.
Go to St. Petersburg. There's nothing ever happening.
That would be a heck of a boat ride in this situation.
Oh, wait,
but...
yeah, no, that's Russia. That's Russia.
I mean, I guess if they went up to Alaska, they could canoe across from Alaska to Russia if they're really lucky. But Isaac's doing all this because he wants the Seraphite to tell him when their next attack is planned and where it's going to be and what's happening. And You know, the Seraphite and Isaac keep going back and forth. Well, we shot your guys with our bows because you guys shot our children, so our children shoot you, and this and back and forth, and we broke your trust because you broke our trust, and you broke the treaty, so we broke the treaty. And Isaac said, which I actually kind of respect, I don't give a flying flip about this chicken or the egg crap. I just want the answers. And I kind of agree. While it is hard to let things go, especially when you're in a treaty type of situation, it gets to a point of you guys are just killing each other pretty who-caredly.
I feel like the moment that you shoot a child is when all bets are off.
Yeah, and again, you're fighting for space, and I imagine this prophet that they keep talking about, I don't remember her very well from the game, but I imagine there's something like, oh no, this is a holy site for us, and that's why we can't leave, which is just stupid. Get out of the place where people are killing you.
Well, they don't seem that scared.
But when Isaac goes to reheat the pot, and he's like, I will burn every part of your body. By the time he turns around, the Seraphite is holding up his other hand. Like, I'm not telling you anything. So then we cut out to the soldiers and hear a kapow. Poor little Seraphite's probably dead.
I mean, that's more of a mercy at this point.
I don't know. I think it was solely because Isaac realized he was not going to talk, so it was a waste of his time.
Yeah, well, if it's that or burned, I feel like Bullet is nicer.
So here's where this episode kind of gets off the rails because we cut back to Ellie and Dina. It's night. They find this building. It might be the radio TV station thing. It might not be. I'm not sure. But they notice that the second story window is broken out and that there's blood on it. So somebody got all the way up there, broke out the window, and then cut themselves climbing in. I kind of disagree. It kind of looks like, by how large the window break is, that somebody got shoved out the window and caught their leg as they were shoved out.
Wile E. Coyote style.
It does kind of look that way. But they climb up, they get in there, they find a dude full of arrows on the floor with a wolf uniform, and when they walk into this big main room, there are 5 people hanging with their intestines all pulled out, and ugh, it is disgusting. Like, Dina agrees with me, she's throwing up.
Well, that's also because she's pregnant and throwing up, but I will say, from a biology standpoint, they're cutting really high, and intestines are physically poking out really high, like right under your false ribs really high. That's just a nice detail. It's not important to the plot, but
yeah,
biologically it's wrong.
It's grossing me out just to hear it. But then other wolves arrive while Dina and Ellie are trying to wrap their head around what they're looking at, and so the girls have to hide, but they don't hide well. They're like hiding behind some 2-foot tall stacks of different, I don't even
boxes?
know, like boxes, cases. And the wolf people who are there are so angry. And the leader is telling them, fan out, go slow, find them if they're here. We're going to kill them if they're here. I don't care if it's a baby. We're going to kill them. And it's like, oh, well.
I feel like the baby wouldn't have done that.
I guess there's no talking our way out of this one. So Ellie sneaks upstairs, totally abandons Dina.
Well, at this point, you're on your own. You can't really rely on slow Dina.
But Ellie can't get the window open. She has nowhere to hide. One of the wolves come in and they spot her. So she has to rush them and she's got him in a headlock, but not before he calls out and somebody else gets up there to, try to shoot Ellie. Dina shoots the other guy in the back of the head. Ellie shivs the guy she's got in the neck. They bust out the window, get out of there. They escape into the transit tunnel that's partially caved in. And they're extremely lucky because how did that tunnel cave in a way that left a perfect little hole from beginning to end for them to travel through?
They're lesbians. They know how to navigate holes.
Oh, wow.
I do also want to say when Ellie was hiding from the soldier guy, she wasn't hiding well. She just was like in the corner. It's like, oh, if I can't see you, you can't see me. It's one step below having your toes stick out from under the curtains.
She might have done better if she Blair Witched it and just put her face, her nose in the corner so that he'd be like, what? What the hell?
She could have played into that. She looks like a mannequin.
So the wolf people see where they go in that caved-in walkway, and they're like, they're going into the transit tunnels. Go to the other side and block them off. They do. And they're throwing these red flares everywhere, I guess, for lighting effect. I don't really understand why.
Flares have a very pungent smell to them, and they smoke hard when they find something flammable.
Well, these idiots end up throwing one of the flares onto a cordyceps, which summons hundreds and hundreds of them from the tunnels to collect and come get them. And I am glad that they are using this now in this season. I feel like they said it in the first season that, oh yeah, you step on a cordyceps vine here and it'll tell everybody for a mile where you're at.
Oh yeah, that was like forever ago because Tess said that.
Yeah, and then they never did anything with it, and I feel like they stepped on stuff since then. But they're finally dealing with this in season 2. I appreciate that. This horde of zombies come in. We really don't know what happened to the wolf soldiers. However, Dina and Ellie try to escape by getting onto this subway train. Doesn't really work because the infected seem to be extra fast here and very limber. Like one of them climbs right up to the entrance that they got in through the roof.
I also do want to point out that there are just so many people in this shot. Almost none of them are actually in the infected makeup.
And you kind of know this a little bit because you've done a zombie run before and they had professional makeup artists that worked on The Walking Dead there. And, you know, some people got really good, really detailed makeup. And then you had the people who weren't from this special effects department. And it's like, here, we'll just tape some blood right here, you know, throw some dirt in your face here, go. So there were very different qualities. And you have to think, when you're doing a filming day like this, you're probably trying to do all of this in one day as much as you can because the extras cost money, because the makeup takes forever and is expensive. So you have to get through all of these extras as fast as possible. So it's easier to go, okay, we're going to make these 20 pretty. The rest of you don't look directly at the camera.
And I get that, but like the padding people were like in the camera.
Yeah, they thought they were prettier than they were.
They were pretty. That's why they didn't sell it.
The director was like, it's fine, it'll be dark and people won't be able to notice.
I noticed.
But they get out through the train in this very weird roundabout way as the infected are breaking in every which way into the train. And Ellie and Dina get to the turnstile. It's old, it's rusty, it's not wanting to move. They're having a hard time getting through. Ellie gets through first. Dina's trying to get through when one of the infected catches up. And Ellie, being a pure hero, sticks her, left arm, right arm? I think right. She sticks her tattooed arm through the grate and lets the infected bite her, which Dina feels absolutely horrified about. Takes her forever to get her gun out and actually shoot the thing that's biting Ellie. But they escape. They get into a movie theater. They set up their little base in there, and Dina draws her gun on Ellie immediately. And Ellie, I don't know how she didn't expect this. She's just like, what are you doing? Don't you effing shoot me, Dina!
Dina, put the gun to Dina!
And then it occurs to Ellie, oh yeah, she doesn't know. Ha ha ha, let me just explain this thing that's pretty impossible sounding, and then it'll be fine. It's cool.
It would have been so much smoother if she just, like, explained it before they went on the journey.
You would have thought somewhere on the journey, Ellie could have said, oh, by the way.
It's like, this is crazy, but...
If I get bit, don't worry too much. It'll be fine.
I got it. I've been bit before. I've got, like, 7 of them.
And I know she was told to keep this all secret, but at some point, when you're going on a journey like this, you have to expect there might be serious trouble, and somebody might need to know your secret. But again, this is all really weird to watch unfold because Dina is not here in the game at this point. Dina does not go to Seattle. So Ellie's like, I'm immune, please don't shoot me.
She's not even like, please don't shoot me. She's like, Dina, put the gun down. Dina, you won't.
And eventually, Dina is convinced enough that she just looks at Ellie holding a gun still, and she's just like, I'm pregnant. And then they immediately fall into getting busy, which...
feels weird.
It feels weird, and it feels like it went on way too long again.
I know there's people who are into pregnant women like that, but like saying the sentence "I'm pregnant" should not elicit this horny of a response that fast.
I mean, you know the stereotype about lesbians and children. They love them, so I'm not going to kink shame her. I'm just saying this went on way too long in a story where we have a billion other things to get to.
Shoved her gross bitten arm up
yeah,
her.
Yeah,
make my baby immune.
Yeah. Yeah, just starts like ripping off their clothes like, girls, wash your hands, use some alcohol, something.
On
like
the dirty, diseased floor.
Know. This floor hasn't been vacuumed in 25 years.
It's like, it's great, be gay, do whatever you want, but like here, no.
Didn't even try to put down a blanket. No, just, oh. Yeah, it was disgusting. And like I said, went on way too long when we have so many other things to get to. And then they wake up and Dina's just like, oh, is all this under your tattoo where you got bit before? I thought it was a burn. And Ellie's like, yeah, because I burned myself because I wanted to wear short sleeves again. Like, dang, Ellie, that is hard hardcore.
I mean, Ellie also tattooed herself, so you gotta be kind of hardcore.
Yeah, Ellie gives herself prison tattoos in her spare time.
Makes that toilet wine.
But then Dina goes on to confess she had this longtime crush and all this history with being conflicted about being bisexual and not knowing what to do, and how Jesse's a good guy but not her guy. And again, it went on way too long. I don't care this much about Dina. I will be amazed if Dina makes it to the end of this game. I don't know. She's alive at the end of the video game, but she also didn't go on this trip. And it seems like she is just trouble fodder.
I mean, she's fine. Dina's not my favorite character, but she's doing better than I thought she would be.
I don't know. I'm tired of Dina, and again, I feel like she's only here so that Ellie has somebody to talk to for the sake of the audience. But they hear some explosions outside, which finally gets us back to some semblance of a plot, and they run up to the rooftop and just run out there, don't even try to crouch or hide behind anything, just stand out there in the open.
They leave their stuff behind, too.
Yeah, what if somebody comes, oh my gosh, they don't know if that's somebody else's base or something. So yeah, to leave their stuff sitting out in the lobby, very careless, to run out into the rooftop on broad daylight, not knowing what's going on or who might be watching them. Also very stupid. For all you know, you run out there and there's a sniper standing like right above you or on the next building. You just don't know to act this stupid. And they hear on the radio that they took from the soldier that Ellie killed, hey, we got to get these people to Nora. And Nora is at a place called Lake Hill, which they figure out from the rooftop is a white building all the way down by the coastline.
It looks like a Hilton hotel.
And Ellie's like, Dina, things are different now, so you don't have to go. I don't know if I want you to go. And Dina's like, excuse me, we're going to do this together. And that's the end of the episode. And by far the most disappointing episode I think we've had.
I am all for gay rights, being gay myself, but like, this is the most boring lesbian relationship I've ever seen.
It is so weird.
Unnecessary.
And it's
too.
like Dina just falls for whoever she's next to in a way that I just don't find respectable, because she was flirting heavy with Joel too at one point. So I don't like Dina. Although we did get another comment from Nerdy Dr. Leonso, who left us an awesome comment before, and they say medical science time, of course referring to episode 3. That guy that kicked Ellie likely had steel-toed boots that caused major, maybe multiple rib fractures when he kicked her, which causes blood vessel injury and leads to blood in the pleural space between the lungs and the chest, called a hemothorax. The change in air pressure between the lungs and the chest will cause the lungs to collapse because it can't expand. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's making me feel a little like, whoo, reading that. Not like, whoo, I'm turned on, but like, whoo, I'm getting a little nauseous.
I know in this episode it's hard to tell the difference.
I'm not Dina. The treatment for this condition is to place a chest tube through the space between the ribs to drain the blood. Okay, so this is why Ellie had her lungs being drained in the last episode. If you look carefully, you can see small amounts of pink fluid in the chest tube. They also agree with us that they should have made sure Ellie would be okay when she first got home. They also believe that Wolf was okay with Abby and her group going to kill Joel rather than Abby going AWOL. And maybe that's right and I'm just misremembering, but I can't imagine a military group in Seattle going, no, go pick a fight in Jackson, Wyoming.
Yeah, go disturb this high-end base that might cause us trouble down the line. That's a great idea. Maybe they were just so bad they didn't mind if they died.
Okay, I love this bit about why Dina's going with Ellie. And side note, they say, I'm bi, and Dina definitely gives straight girl who acts gay when drunk vibes, which is so frustrating. I hope you feel that Dina acted better in this episode, but I don't know if I can ever stand Dina at this point. She's just...
She feels like
clean your hands, Dina!
She feels like she'd string anyone along for a piece of string cheese.
Okay, here we go. The coffee beans were placed on the grave because Joel loved coffee, but Ellie thought it smelled gross, so she couldn't understand why Joel got excited every time he got a hold of some coffee. Okay, that makes some sense. I don't remember them saying that in the show. Maybe it's in the game and I forgot. Maybe it's in the show and I forgot because my brain's not that big.
We forget a lot.
That's why I take notes. But that was a good comment, so I thought we needed to put that in a video and address some of that. I like it when people smarter than us have answers. But I absolutely hated episode 4, and
I also didn't like it. It just wasn't going anywhere.
I worry that it comes off as like a homophobic comment of like, well, I don't like it and Dina's doing it. It's Dina herself that I don't like, not a homosexual relationship, but we are grinding this story to a halt to add in things that don't really freaking they could have done all this on the road to Seattle and just had like a moment instead of dragging it out through the whole episode like this.
The difference between Ellie's relationships and Bill and Frank is unbearably wide for how much we feel for them and care for them, and we understand that they need each other and they love each other. With all of Ellie's relationships, it just feels like, hey, heat of the moment, let's have fun.
It definitely does have that teenagery young adult vibe of I love who's in front of me because they're in front of me.
It really doesn't feel like Ellie's going to keep any of these relationships long term, and it really doesn't feel like Dina's gonna care after her baby's born.
Anyways, on that note, I am hoping the next episode is a lot better than this and we get a lot more going. I'm going to start getting really mad if we don't start getting the Abby perspectives. And I don't want her friends' perspectives. No, this story was never about her friends. They are death fodder for Ellie. I'm sorry if that's a spoiler for you, but if you thought they were all going to survive to the end of this, you're crazy anyways.
I swear to the prophet, if Dina ends up dating Abby...
What if... Okay, you know how there's no more fireflies because Joel killed like 17 of them or whatever?
Yeah, 19 and they're all gone.
Now that was all they had left. What if Ellie is the reason that there's no more wolf? And I'm not sure because, again, I remember the larger points of the game, but not the finer points. It's been too long. That might be actually where this is going because I know Abby is kind of out on her own by the end of the game, and I can't exactly remember why.
Like father, like daughter.
Anyways, guys, please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and or share. All of that good stuff is free for you and really helps us out, and we could really use your help. The algorithm hates us so much. We also have paid channel memberships available, so you can toss a set number of dollars based on different tiers our way, and there are different things that can come with that, and hey, that'd be awesome.
If you like hearing us talk, do that.
But other than that, we will see you next week with the next episode while we also try to desperately catch up on My Little Pony and some other things we're trying to do.
Oh yeah,
Yay!
bye!
Bye! And to any of my members here on YouTube, a huge bottom of my heart thank you for all of your help and support. If you would like to become a paid channel member, there is a link in the description below. Thanks again, guys. Love you. Well, family members, we're almost done, but I want to invite you to hang out with me in some other places. I'm on Twitter and Instagram as my own personal self, and I have a Facebook page too, but I mostly just post photos over there. And sometimes people say, hey McGann, I want to mail you something. How do I do that? Easy. Just click the About tab on my channel page, and my most current P.O. Box info will be right there. I also run another channel, The Family. It's really a hodgepodge channel where we might post anything. Oh yeah, and I also sell shirts and stickers and stuff with the Family and the Fangirl logos. If that is your cup of tea, I have a link in every description of every video. Finally, if you want to help out the Fangirl channel and make sure I'm putting out video essays for years to come, the best way you can help is by subscribing and watching more of my videos, whether they're new, old, whatever. Maybe even share one or two on social media, help spread the word. People who watch to the end of videos, like you, helps to tell the site, hey, this is a good video, we should recommend it to other people. So if you made it this far, leave me a comment of something like, hey, I made it to the end. Love ya. See you next time, family members. Bye.